I'm Lindsay, and for the past year, I've been working tirelessly on my van, a 2013 Chevy Express, in preparation for my first big trip across the country this summer. But as the deadline for my trip gets closer, the pressure to finish the build is greater than ever. So follow me as I build out my van with the hopes of eventually achieving my goal of visiting every national park here in the United States. I've been waiting for what feels like forever to cover this insulation up, but now that all the wiring and the furring strips and everything is done and ready to be covered, I finally get to do that today. Let's go pick up some plywood. Well, I think this is probably a sufficient amount of wood to cover the whole interior of the van. So now all I really need to do is take some measurements, make some cardboard templates, cut out the plywood, and attach it to the walls, which sounds easier said than done, but honestly, I'm hoping it's easy to do too, because I kind of just need that right now. Okay, now that this wall is up, I actually need to cut a hole into it so that I can install this outlet. In the last video, I ran the extension cord to this outlet through all of the channels and compartments in my van, leading back to the battery cabinet, where I actually have another of the exact same outlet installed, but a little bit messily. So luckily, this will eventually be hidden by a cabinet, so I don't have to worry too much about what it's gonna look like. Hell yeah. So for areas like this, where there's like insulation and it needs to be covered up, but it's like not a major actual wall, I've just decided I'll do a little bit of plywood over that as well, paint it white, kind of blend it in a tad. The one thing I'm still debating is, like, do I use construction adhesive or do I use like maybe a self-tapping screw or two to hold it in some key places? Because it's a curved piece and, you know, I don't think construction glue is going to be that good unless I want to stand here and like push it against the wall for like 8 hours. So I will let you know what I come up with. That was quite possibly the exact opposite of wiring, because it was very fast, very easy, and very immediately satisfying. But now that that step is done, I can move on to what is possibly the most satisfying step of all. Big day. I'm finally painting the walls, but first I gotta get everything out of here so I can clean the floors and cover them up. I think I've covered everything sufficiently in there, so it's time to move on to the first coat, which is this mold-resistant primer. I actually learned about this in particular from my friend Jessa, who I met years ago at VidCon. She has her own van. She actually just built out a second van, and she has her own YouTube channel, so you can go watch that if you'd like. I've linked it in the description. She really is great. I am very eager to maybe meet up again with her someday with both of our vans in the future. But for now, I've still got to paint mine. So since moisture is kind of the enemy when it comes to the interior of a van, I figured this was a great first step. Last night, before I cleaned everything up and prepared everything to paint, I filled in all of these screw holes as best as I could, and some of the gaps. It doesn't look like great or perfect, but it's fine. It looks alright. You can't really notice unless you're looking for it, so that's okay with me. But it's already looking really good, so I'm gonna keep going. I definitely had to use like every last drop of paint, but it's all covered. And while I wait for that to dry, I figured I would tell you a little bit more about the plans for my trip this summer and what kind of got me interested in doing all of this in the first place. 3 years ago, I traveled to Montana to attend the first ever Sony Camera Camp hosted by Jenna and Justine Izarek. And it was, no exaggeration, definitely one of the best experiences I've ever had. I'm out here on Flathead Lake. Justine and Jenna are behind me. Justine is droning from her canoe or kayak. Yeah, it is so fucking beautiful here. I can't believe it. While I was there, I met Amanda, who has her own YouTube channel where she documents all of her motorcycle camping adventures and more. She's so talented, incredibly nice, super chill, and she's just honestly a big inspiration to me in general. Watching her working on her bikes and learning as she goes and taking it all in stride made me feel like maybe I could do something like that too. So I decided that this summer I would attend her annual moto camping event out in Montana called Rocky Mountain Roll. And while I do not ride motorcycles, ever since going to camera camp, I've wanted to go back to Montana. While I was there, I managed to explore the tiniest sliver of Glacier National Park before heading back to the airport, spending one final night camping out of the back of my rental car. So I guess from there, it kind of feels like a seed was planted. And 2 years later, I had my very own van. And now I plan to take it to Montana to visit my friend from camera camp, explore Glacier way more thoroughly than I did last time, and hopefully see a bunch of other parks along the way. Anyways, it's probably time for another coat of paint by now. So the final coat is just this slightly less sterile, hospital-y white paint. It's in a shade called Bleached Slate with an eggshell finish, so I won't bore you by showing myself painting a bunch of white on white, but I'll show you the difference when it's finished. There it is. I know white is kind of basic and a little harder to keep clean, but you people know what my bedroom looks like, so don't act all surprised. This has easily been one of the best parts of the build so far. I think because every step I've gotten to do here is something that's like very satisfying that I've been waiting a really long time to finally move on to. And the step that I'm moving on to today is installing my ceiling. I was originally gonna do what everyone else seems to do and be basic and go with tongue and groove boards. But after watching my dad re-side the front of the garage with tongue and groove, I decided I wouldn't go for it because it seemed really expensive, really heavy, and a real pain in the ass to install. So ultimately, I ended up going with these birch panels instead, which basically give the same look without all the downsides of actual lumber. I've already stained and sealed these, so they're ready to go, and all that's left to do is put them up. I have 8 of these little puck lights, so I need to decide where on the ceiling I want to place them, and I guess cut the holes out, but then make sure I have the wiring ready, and then put the ceiling on, but pull the wires through, and then also attach this to the wire sticking through at the end, and then put it in the ceiling. Yeah, this is gonna be a pain in the ass. But I am excited about the lights and the ceiling being on, so this is gonna get done. It's time. well, that took me quite a few hours. There was just a lot of maneuvering and cutting and fitting and refitting that you didn't exactly see, but the ceiling is up, and now I get to do the really exciting finishing stuff, like putting on the cosmetic piece for the fan that I've literally had for over a year, and the lights get to be wired in, so everything will be really real. I don't know, it feels so weird. I thought I'd be more excited, but I think I'm just tired and it's surreal now. Anyways, let's do the lights. In order to connect the walls to the ceiling and give it a more finished, polished look, I have these 1/4-inch plywood strips here that I managed to cut as long as I possibly could from all of the scraps that I had left. And this should cover up not only the insulation and that awkward metal gap, but also will cover up the LED strip lights, the colored lights that I have there, and hopefully should give it this nice downlighting effect. So I'm gonna prime these, paint them the same color as the walls, and attach them up there. So because these are right angle brackets, once I have both sides attached, I literally just push in on both sides equally to make that angle a little bigger and make this a little bit closer to the wall. Now that I'm no longer anxious about finishing the walls, I can finally move on to being anxious about finishing the bed. So that's cool. But honestly, I feel insane knowing that in less than 3 weeks, I'll be taking this van across the country and there isn't even a bed in it yet. It's becoming more and more of a possibility that I may take this van out on the road half finished, but I'll do everything I possibly can until then. It has taken so much work to get to this point, and it feels wild to be able to say I did all of it myself. Not without some help, but knowing that I attached nearly every screw, spliced every wire, and painted every square inch with my own 2 hands makes me really proud. Even if I'm not quite finished yet.